It began like any other night. Emily sat across from me at the dinner table, quiet, distant, eyes unfocused. Then she said it. "I feel like you're not emotionally here anymore." The words hit harder than I expected. I asked what she meant, but she already had an answer prepared. She said I didn't listen, that I never opened up, that she felt like she was living with a stranger. I wanted to argue, but instead I just nodded. Maybe she was right. Maybe I had been too focused on work, too tired to talk. Then she said the line that changed everything. "I think we should try marriage counseling." It sounded reasonable. I wasn't against therapy. I wanted to fix things. So when she showed me the profile of a therapist named Dr. Mason Hale, I agreed. His reviews were glowing. People called him a miracle worker. He looked harmless, calm smile, trustworthy face. I told myself this could help us. Our first session started simple. Dr. Hale asked questions about how we met, what we argued about, what we wanted. Emily spoke most of the time. I sat there, trying not to say the wrong thing. Dr. Hale nodded, taking notes like he was writing a story only he understood. At first, I thought he was just doing his job. But by the end of the session, something felt off. He kept asking how Emily felt when I didn't express emotion. Not what I felt, not what I thought, only how she reacted to me. I felt invisible in a room that was supposed to be about both of us. The second session made it worse. Dr. Hale spoke softly, like a narrator in a sad documentary. He said patterns of emotional detachment often start in childhood. He asked about my parents, my past, my fears. I told him I had a normal family, nothing dramatic. He looked at Emily and said, "That explains a lot." Like I wasn't even there. Emily nodded, eyes lighting up as if he'd just uncovered a hidden truth. Every time I tried to speak, Dr. Hale interrupted. He told me I was deflecting. He told me denial was common in men like me. I started to feel like I was on trial. And Emily, sitting beside him, looked at me like I was guilty. By the third session, I dreaded going. I sat in silence while Dr. Hale dissected my every word. He told Emily that her feelings were valid and that she deserved emotional safety. Then he told me I needed to do the work, whatever that meant. When we got home, Emily looked lighter, almost glowing. She said Dr. Hale helped her realize things she'd buried for years. I asked what that meant. She said I wouldn't understand. And maybe she was right. But deep down, something told me this wasn't therapy anymore. It was something else. Something slowly turning my wife against me. And I had no idea how far it was about to go. After the third session, things started to shift. Emily began repeating things Dr. Hale said like scripture. He says I need to set boundaries. He says I've been emotionally neglected. Each time she said it, her voice sounded rehearsed. I tried to talk about how I felt, but it didn't matter. She already had her answers, and they all came from him. I wasn't her partner anymore. I was her project. She started scheduling solo sessions with Dr. Hale. He said she needed individual therapy to heal from emotional damage. Apparently, I was the cause of that damage. I didn't like it, but Emily said it was normal. So I agreed, trying to trust the process. But the process began tearing us apart. She'd come home after her sessions acting different. Distant. Cold. Like she'd shed her skin and become someone else. When I asked how the sessions went, she said, "You wouldn't get it." Then she'd walk away, leaving me alone in silence. She stopped laughing at my jokes. She stopped asking about my day. Her eyes never stayed on me for long. It was like she'd been rewired. One night, she said she didn't want to sleep in the same bed. She claimed she needed space to process her emotions. I didn't even know what that meant. Our home turned into a stranger's house. She locked herself in her office, writing in some therapy journal. When I knocked, she said I was violating her boundaries. I started wondering if this was really about therapy or something else. Every time I tried to bring it up, she'd quote Dr. Hale. "Ryan, you can't control my healing. Ryan, you're projecting your discomfort." I felt like every word out of my mouth was being filtered through him. Even when we fought, she didn't sound angry, she sounded clinical. Cold, detached, like she was diagnosing me. One night, she came home late from her session. It was almost 10. I asked if everything was okay. She said yes, but her tone was defensive. Her phone buzzed, and she turned it over quickly. For the first time, I felt that sharp sting of suspicion. I told myself I was paranoid. But she started hiding her phone, changing her password, deleting texts. She said I was invading her privacy. Maybe she was right. But my gut screamed that something was wrong. Dr. Hale wasn't just treating her. He was changing her. He made her believe she was brave for pushing me away. He made me look like the villain in her recovery story. I tried to suggest a new therapist, someone neutral. Emily snapped. She said, "You just can't handle someone holding you accountable." That was when I realized I was losing her. Not to another man yet, but to his voice, to his influence. And I could already feel that something darker was coming. It happened on a Thursday night. Emily said she had another late session with Dr. Hale. She left around 5 and didn't come back until after 10. I asked how therapy went. She smiled faintly and said, "It was intense but freeing." Something about that smile didn't look like relief. It looked like satisfaction. That night, while she showered, her laptop was still open. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. There was an email from Dr. Hale. The subject line read, "You deserve peace." The message said, "You are radiant when you let your heart speak." No mention of therapy, no notes, just intimacy. My hands shook. I told myself maybe it was harmless, a misunderstanding. But deep down, I knew it was. Over the next week, her solo sessions grew longer. She stopped answering my calls during therapy hours. One night, she came home in a dress I hadn't seen before. She said Dr. Hale encouraged her to embrace her confidence. The next day, I installed a small tracking app on her phone. I hated myself for it, but I needed to know. That Thursday, she left for therapy as usual. At 7, her location pinged from a restaurant downtown. It wasn't a clinic. It was a place we used to go for anniversaries. She stayed there for over 2 hours. When she got home, she smelled like wine and perfume. I asked if she had dinner after therapy. She froze, then said, "You're being controlling." I didn't argue, but the truth had already settled in my chest like ice. The following week, I told her I had to work late. Instead, I parked near Dr. Hale's office. I waited in my car, watching. At 6:40, I saw them leave together. They stood too close, laughing like old lovers. Then he reached out, brushed her hair behind her ear. And she kissed him. Not a quick one, not a mistake. A real kiss, full of meaning in the open. My heart stopped. I lifted my phone and recorded everything. When they got into his car and drove off, I followed. They ended up at his house. I waited outside for almost an hour. The lights stayed on. She didn't come home that night. The next morning, she told me she slept at a friend because she was drained. I nodded and said nothing. Inside, something in me went silent. No more denial. No more begging. No more pain. Only clarity. Dr. Hale hadn't healed my wife. He'd rewritten her. And now I had proof of every lie. That was the night I decided to end this story my way. Not with shouting. Not with violence. But with the truth. And I was going to make sure both of them paid for it. I collected everything I could find and treated it like evidence, not vengeance. Screenshots of their messages, timestamps on emails, and the video clip I recorded were first. I pulled up the insurance statements and noticed billing entries that didn't match what actually happened. Session dates were billed as couples therapy, while my wife's solo appointments showed suspicious overlaps. I downloaded bank statements showing repeated Thursday night charges at restaurants near his office. I called one restaurant pretending to be a customer and asked about recent reservations. The clerk mentioned Dr. Hale and a woman who came in often and sat together like a couple. That call confirmed the pattern I already feared, but needed to prove on paper. I organized everything into folders labeled with dates, times, and short explanations of relevance. Each piece was backed up to cloud storage and saved on a flash drive I kept in my safe. Then I learned the rules that mattered. Therapists can't engage romantically with current clients. I read the state ethics code until the language became blunt and usable in a complaint. With the code in hand, I drafted a formal report that laid out the timeline and violations. I attached screenshots, video, billing statements, and the restaurant call transcript to the complaint. The state licensing board confirmed receipt and said an investigation would be opened. I also reached out to the clinic and the wellness center where he ran workshops, calmly sharing facts. Sponsors and platform partners received concise emails with evidence and a professional request to review. Within days, his public profile vanished, bookings were canceled, and seminar partners pulled sponsorship. 2 weeks later, the licensing website updated his status from active to under review. I didn't celebrate. I kept building the file because I knew he might try to walk away quietly. My lawyer reviewed everything and advised filing for divorce with the evidence attached as supporting material. We included the affair, the professional misconduct, and the insurance billing irregularities in the filing. The presence of clear, dated proof shifted the legal leverage in my favor almost immediately. While the board and insurers conducted audits, his professional network quietly cut ties and referrals. A woman named Angela and 2 others joined the account, sharing similar histories and corroborating statements. Armed with multiple independent testimonies, the investigators took the case more seriously. The clinic cooperated with auditors and handed over billing records when formally requested. An insurance audit found discrepancies in session codes and reimbursed amounts he claimed for years. Faced with civil exposure and regulatory investigations, he settled a fraud claim quietly and moved money. The settlement included reimbursement for falsely billed therapy sessions and damages to our insurance carrier. His license was eventually revoked after the state board's hearing found multiple ethical violations. My divorce finalized with a clean settlement where I kept the house, and my lawyer called it tidy. Emily left quietly, moved in with a relative, and the life she had with him collapsed without ceremony. In the end, I didn't act out of rage, but out of methodical care for the truth and for myself. I started seeing a therapist who listened, and for the first time in months, I slept through the night. It was a few weeks after I filed the report when the first message came. A woman named Angela reached out through Facebook, saying she needed to talk about Dr. Hale. Her tone was shaky, like she'd been waiting years to tell someone. She said she and her husband saw him for marriage counseling 2 years ago. 3 months in, Dr. Hale told her that her husband was emotionally abusive. He offered private sessions to help her rediscover herself. Then it turned into something else. He kissed her during a session and said it was part of emotional reconnection. She fell for it until her husband found out and threatened to expose him. Dr. Hale convinced her to settle it quietly with a signed confidentiality note. He moved on like nothing happened. When she saw his license under review online, she realized it was finally over. She wanted to help me make sure he never did it again. A few days later, another woman contacted me, then another. They had the same story, same words, same manipulations, same timing. He preyed on women during vulnerable moments and framed himself as their savior. Each of them had messages, billing logs, and proof of overlapping therapy sessions. It was like watching the same script performed by different people. We created a private chat group and started piecing the puzzle together. Dates, locations, insurance claims, emotional language, everything matched perfectly. We realized Dr. Hale wasn't just unethical. He was a predator with a system. He used therapy as a weapon and called it healing. He told each woman the same thing: your partner doesn't understand you. Then he'd become the one who understood. Once he had them isolated, he blurred every line between care and control. When one woman resisted, he called her progress unstable. When she submitted, he called it growth. It was psychological manipulation, wrapped in therapeutic words. Together, we gathered all our evidence into one massive file. I redacted names and removed anything personal, but kept the facts intact. We sent copies to the clinic, the wellness center, and the private therapist network he belonged to. We didn't post online, didn't make a scene. We just let the truth circulate quietly where it mattered most. Within a week, the clinic deleted his profile with no statement. The wellness center suspended his group programs, citing internal review. In professional circles, word spread fast. You can't hide rot in a small industry. Young therapists started sharing their own uncomfortable encounters with him. Some said he made suggestive comments during supervision meetings. Others said he hinted at emotional chemistry with clients. By the second week, his name vanished from every event and contact list. No press, no drama, just quiet exile. Emily found out through an email from his group coordinator. She came home shaking, asking if I'd done this. I told her I only shared the truth. Her face broke in disbelief. She whispered, "He said we were different." I looked at her and said, "You were." She realized she wasn't special, just another name in his pattern. That was the first time she went completely silent. After that night, everything unraveled fast. Emily packed her things within a week and moved in with her sister. She didn't say goodbye. No apology, no explanation, just silence. Her new reality had collapsed, and there was nothing left to defend. Meanwhile, Dr. Hale's world kept falling apart. His clinic dropped him, his license was revoked, and his name was whispered in shame. He issued no public statement, only a vague note about taking time to reflect. But reflection doesn't rebuild what's already burned. The man who once called me emotionally unavailable was now a ghost. No clients, no career, no reputation. It was the kind of justice that didn't need applause, quiet and permanent. Then I discovered one more twist. My lawyer received a call from the insurance company's investigator. They had found fraudulent billing stretching back years. Dr. Hale had charged for sessions that never happened. He even billed couples therapy while Emily was living with him. He was still using my insurance for reimbursement. That wasn't just unethical, it was criminal. We submitted our records, and the clinic handed over everything without protest. The evidence showed double booking, falsified durations, and fake session codes. We filed a civil claim for reimbursement and damages. He settled immediately, paying every cent without argument. But there was something else in the documents. A transfer from Emily's account to a private payment tag. It was labeled therapy support. The money, over $8,000, went to a woman in another city. We traced it back to his legal wife. Dr. Hale was still married. He'd never divorced. Emily had been paying his wife to stay quiet. That realization hit harder than any betrayal before it. Emily knew he was still married and chose to believe his lies anyway. She thought she was part of some great love story. She was just another line in his web of deceit. When I sent her the proof, I didn't write a message. Just a screenshot and a thumbs up emoji. She never replied. A month later, I heard his wife finally filed for divorce, citing infidelity and misconduct. His name appeared on the state board website, license revoked, ethics violations confirmed. No job, no marriage, no safety net. Emily disappeared from social media, her new apartment gone, her number changed. She faded away like the ending of a bad dream. And me. I stayed quiet. I went to the gym again, rebuilt my office, started working on projects I'd forgotten. For the first time in years, the house felt peaceful. I started therapy with someone new, a real professional who listened. When I finished telling her everything, she smiled softly and said, "You sound like someone who found closure the hard way." Maybe she was right. Sometimes peace doesn't come from forgiveness. Sometimes it comes from the truth finally catching up. Months passed, and the noise finally faded. No more arguments, no more lies, just quiet mornings and open space. I stopped checking my phone for messages that would never come. I stopped replaying that night in my head. The anger that once fueled me turned into something calmer. Not forgiveness, but acceptance. The house felt different now, lighter somehow. I repainted the walls, moved the furniture, started over piece by piece. Sometimes I still catch myself thinking about Emily. Not with hate, just a dull echo of what used to be. I don't miss her anymore. I miss the man I was before all this. But maybe that version of me needed to die for a better one to exist. Dr. Hale lost everything. Emily lost herself, trying to find meaning in his lies. And I, the man they both tried to define, found peace in the truth. Pain changes people, but truth rebuilds them. I'm not broken. I'm just done surviving. And for the first time in years, that finally feels like enough.